good on him for turning it around.
Absolutely, great yarn. Good on you, Brooke. Thank you. Here are today's top stories. Melbourne Cup countdown, the favourites in the field and the Aussie jockey on the brink of history. But will the race still stop the nation, or will it be hampered by protests?
Under attack, an Uber Eats driver targeted in a violent carjacking, and the brave Camillo residents who stepped in to help. The whole thing caught on camera.
A former person of interest in the disappearance of William Tyrrell breaks his silence. What Bill Spedding is saying about the wrongful accusation and how police are responding.
Plus, the Barty Party hits Perth. The tennis world's $6 million woman touches down in WA. All smiles ahead of the Fed Cup final.
A Today Health Alert, a raised back and neck pain without costly bills. The new device is promising to turn your life around.
The soggy celebration. What an absolute legend. Farmer Rick stripped off and danced through the drought-breaking downpour. Why, he says Jimmy Barnes helped open the skies.
And the world according to Jeff Goldblum, Hollywood's most unique star on his unique new show. It'll change the way you see the universe. Today, Tuesday, the 5th of November, 2019. Very good morning, WA. Thank you so much for your company. Here's your best live and local news. Good morning, Lou.
Good morning. This is Today Perth, live from St George's Terrace. First, police will be out in force today as protesters threaten to disrupt one of the biggest sporting events in Australia. Tens of thousands of people are flocking into Flemington for the Melbourne Cup, with $100,000 spent on security for the train line servicing the track. Animal rights protesters marred yesterday's parade, so organisers aren't cutting any corners today to ensure the $8 million race continues without disruption. Activists are also planning action here in Perth, and Darius Winterfield is at Ascot. Darius, what can punters expect today?
Well, Lou, it is, of course, race day, but up to 200 protesters will be hoping to rain on the parade today when they turn out this morning here at Ascot to begin their protests. They're called the Coalition for the Protection of Racehorses. We saw them turn out in their hundreds yesterday in Melbourne, attempting to disrupt the Cup parade at Federation Square. Today, the Metro Authority in Melbourne is deploying drones as well as a mobile CCTV station to ensure the main line into Flemington runs smoothly. Police say extra officers will also be deployed today, but are not saying exactly how many there will be. Here at Ascot, there will also be more police out in force prepared to respond to the protests. The group has, however, said the protest will be peaceful. This, of course, follows gruesome images exposed in an ABC report last month with revelations ex-racehorses are being killed for pet meat here. The results of an inquiry into what happens to these thoroughbreds when their racing careers are over is expected next week. Now, meanwhile, punters can also expect to face issues at Crown Perth today when its employees go on strike demanding a pay rise. Up to 1,000 staff are expected to walk off the job from 10 a.m. I'm told by United Voice that means alcohol might not be served, cleaners won't be cleaning, and dealers will shut down tables. Now, of course, despite the protests, it shouldn't spoil the fun here at Ascot today, with thousands expected to turn out for the race that stops the nation when the gates open here at 8:30 this morning. Now, Lou, if you haven't gotten your tickets here for the restaurants or events, then I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you're too late. They're all sold out, but I am told that there are still some tickets available for general admission, so you better get in quick.
It is going to be a huge day. Darius, thank you. A man was rushed to hospital this morning after he was hit by a car in Osborne Park. The man was struck while walking on Hector Street around 2:30 a.m, the impact shattering the windscreen. He was taken by ambulance to Royal Perth Hospital, where he's now in a stable condition. A Perth tradie is in hospital after suffering an electric shock on a work site yesterday. A 28-year-old electrician was injured in an explosion on the Pindon construction site in Mirrabooka. He's in a critical but stable condition at Fiona Stanley Hospital after suffering serious burns. Well, the Barty Party has hit the West. Tennis number one Ash Barty flew into Perth overnight ahead of her Fed Cup clash with France this weekend. Mia Edgerton-Warburton has more.
Lou, the tennis powerhouse touched down at Perth Airport last night, declining to speak on camera after the flight from China. But despite the long haul, the 23-year-old was all smiles after becoming the first Australian to conquer the WTA finals in 43 years. The 23-year-old took home a massive payday, cashing in a $6.4 million check. But now her eyes are firmly on her clash this weekend. The world number one will play France in the Fed Cup finals this weekend here in Perth. She's set to front media this afternoon. Meanwhile, vision has emerged from hours before her WTA finals decider in China. The 23-year-old playing tennis cricket with her team using a golf ball and stick. Lou, this is the 5th time the Cup has been hosted in Perth, with Barty due to hit the court on Saturday.
Camillo residents are being hailed heroes after a dramatic citizen's arrest stopped a would-be carjacker in his tracks. Nibu Anthony was delivering Uber Eats on Sunday evening when a teenager ran in front of his car on Westfield Road. Dashcam vision capturing the 40-year-old being punched repeatedly in the head.
I can't talk too much because I have pain here. The 2 stitches are the top and one inside.
Brave neighbours saw the chaos unfold, rushing over to help.
And then I just yelled out, "Get down on the ground," and he got down on the ground. I tackled him down further, rolled him over onto his chest and held him in position.
A 17-year-old boy has been charged with trespass and armed robbery. A former suspect in the William Tyrrell disappearance has spoken out for the first time as he sues the New South Wales police force. Investigators began to focus on Bill Spedding after it was revealed he'd fixed the washing machine of William's grandmother 3 days before the toddler disappeared.
It's all shattered. Basically, the business no longer exists. We have no, up until this point, we've had no life at all. And we've basically got to restart over again.
Mr. Spedding is now seeking up to $1 million in compensation from the state police force. Australia will sign up to the world's biggest free trade deal, with the Prime Minister last night calling the agreement an historic victory. Jonathan Kersley reveals more from Canberra.
The deal is on, but one big player is missing, and that is India. The leaders of 15 nations, including Australia, have agreed, though, that they will press ahead with this monster trade deal that takes in round about 29% of the world's economic production. India, though, is holding out amid fears signing up could actually hamper its own economy by allowing more Chinese-made goods in. The deal, known as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, is designed to open up trade in the region. Essentially, from an Australian perspective, it is designed to help get more products, businesses into the Southeast Asian market, something that Scott Morrison hopes will be a boost not only for businesses but for jobs. However, he couldn't win over India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi when the pair met on the sidelines of the East Asia Summit in Bangkok last night. India's absence is a significant blow for this deal. Was to take in a third of the world's GDP and almost half the world's population. But it can go ahead, and it seems it will. 15 other nations will press on. A deal could be signed formally early next year.
Vietnamese police have arrested 8 more suspects over the deaths of 39 people found in a truck east of London. 10 people have now been arrested in Vietnam since 8 women and 31 men were discovered in a refrigerated trailer in Essex. It comes as police have this morning found 41 migrants alive in a refrigerated truck in Greece. Good news this morning for chronic pain sufferers. Melbourne researchers have developed a way of making existing painkillers more effective. Monash University scientists have created a microscopic drug capsule directly targeting the source of pain. Researchers say their discovery has the potential to address the global opioid epidemic by allowing for lower drug doses and fewer side effects. NASA has successfully tested a safety system for its commercial spacecraft to protect astronauts if there's an emergency before liftoff. Charles Croucher has more.
It was a mission designed to fail.
2, 1.
NASA and Boeing demonstrating the Launchpad abort system on their CST-100 Starliner spacecraft. The capsule is fired more than a kilometre into the air, away from the launcher rocket, replicating the safety manoeuvre required if something went wrong at the launch.
Format cutter. Pitch around.
The crew this time, a solo test dummy, covered in sensors logging the 1,000 km/h blast in real time. 2 of the pod's 3 parachutes deploy, not perfect, but enough to land safely and pass NASA's guidelines.
We hope we never need to use this system, but in case we ever have any trouble aboard the beautiful Atlas V on the launch pad, we know after today's test that we'll be able to get off safely and then come back and try again at different days.
NASA will now launch the Starliner next month with a manned mission to the International Space Station
touchdown.
scheduled for 2020.
Well, how far would you go to save a good pair of thongs? Well, this Sydney man has literally risked it all, becoming trapped in a gutter drain as he attempted to recover his favourite footwear. Firefighters were forced to use hydraulic tools to free the man from the drain before he was taken to hospital. He suffered a possible fractured hip, and our investigations have found old mate managed to retrieve only one of his thongs. What a story. Time for sports news now, and the Everest and Golden Eagle under his belt already this season, and Chris Waller can claim a clean sweep of the Southern Hemisphere's 3 richest races if he wins the Melbourne Cup with favourite Finch. Meanwhile, Winx's former jockey Hugh Bowman has it all to do on outsider Twilight payment from Gate 19, but Bowman has no doubt about the horse's pedigree.
I know he's trained by a Melbourne Cup winning trainer in Joseph O'Brien and prolific Melbourne Cup winning owner Lloyd Williams. So that in itself is exciting. But yeah, it was sort of a bit of an up and down week for me with the omission of Marmello.
The course is rated a soft 6 at the moment, but it could get soggy with some rain predicted this afternoon. In AFL, Freo say they won't risk Jesse Hogan before Christmas as he recovers from a serious foot injury. The former Melbourne forward hurt it all the way back in round 14 against his old club. Carlton, the Dockers, Demons and Swans, including Buddy Franklin, have all returned to pre-season training. The Matildas have struck a landmark deal that will see them be paid the same amount as Socceroos players. A new pay structure is set to include the equal splitting of commercial revenue and prize money that the 2 teams pool, despite the men generating the majority of the share. The new W League season kicks off this weekend. And Melbourne Cup Day, as we know, isn't all about Melbourne. Adrian is at Ascot Racecourse this morning, checking out the best in WA right now. Adrian, what have you got there?
Well, I'm here with Rapid Transit, who's going to be racing in race number 5. How you reckon you go today, mate? There we go, right from the horse's mouth. We're here at the stables at Ascot Racecourse, and I'm joined by Trevor Andrews, who is a trainer. Trevor, tell us, how do the horses get prepared before they go out to race today?
Well, this morning track work would have started here at 4 o'clock. Horses that are racing will probably just come and have a light walk or maybe have a swim. They'll be taken back, given their breakfast, probably get a shampoo pre-race, and just keep them relaxed and sort of ready for the event.
So they get quite pampered before they head off, which is nice.
They're spoiled rotten. Most of them are looked after a lot better than the Cup favourite, I'd say.
Yeah, right. Now, I didn't realise this until today, but racing is actually one of the biggest industries in Australia. I think it's the 3rd biggest, is that right?
Exactly, yeah, the 3rd biggest employer in Australia. It supports a lot of industries, it creates a lot of welfare. It's a great industry to be involved in.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, tell us, what are your tips, or who are you sort of backing for the Melbourne Cup today, for anyone listening at home?
I've backed 2. I've backed Constantinople, David Hayes' horse, and Magic Wand, Aidan O'Brien's. I think they'll both run the trip really well. But a very hard race to pick the winner in, but everybody should support the race and have a bet.
Yeah, fantastic. And as for Rapid Transit here, how do you reckon he's going to go?
Yeah, he's in race 5 today, drawn barrier 3, had a little bit of a gear change, run 3rd last start in a maiden race, but gets a good chance today, I think.
There we go. Thank you very much, Trevor. Let's have a look at our weather now. It's 14 degrees at the moment, headed to a top of 25. In our suburbs, Fremantle 24 degrees, Kalamunda 25, and in our week ahead, Wednesday a sunny 26 degrees, getting a bit warm on Thursday for a sunny 29. Friday a sunny 34 degrees, and Saturday, wait for it, a very hot and mostly sunny 37. Lou, come back at 8 o'clock. We're going to be by the track. We're seeing some Melbourne Cup fashions today. You won't want to miss it. Make sure you're there.
Right up my alley. Sounds good to me. All right, see you then. Thanks, guys. Coming up, the best at-home devices for neck and back pain. But now here's Stevie.
Yeah, good morning to you. The race that stops a nation. Melbourne 19 and cloudy today, so it looks like it is going to be a good day. A little bit of wet weather throughout the week in Melbourne, so this looks like it'll be the only dry one, but more hot weather around the country, and October really has continued that tradition of hot and dry weather, which has affected large parts of the country right throughout this year. So January to October has just registered as the hottest and second driest on record, according to maximum temperatures. And we are seeing some warm temps up the west coast of WA today. But let's start in Queensland, find out what's coming your way today. Top of 31 degrees on the map today for Cairns, Townsville, and also the Sunshine Coast. And we are seeing some windy conditions around Brisbane and the Gold Coast that will make things difficult for firefighters there. We have high to severe fire dangers in Brisbane and the surrounding areas today. Sydney, some showers and 20. Melbourne 19 and cloud today. Perfect day for the big race. Hobart 18, a few showers on the way. 22 and cloud for Adelaide, and a lovely warm top of 25 degrees in Perth today. Then as we start heading further up, we've got some troughs that are bringing some warm, windy conditions to the top end of WA. So Karratha on 39 degrees and windy. Broome hitting 40 degrees today with some showers and storms, and Darwin a top of 33 degrees today with some showers and storms on the way. But speaking of the race that stops the nation, let's head back to Melbourne now. And it's over to TJ with a little bit more racing action.